Hello everybody, and welcome to another video of Green Square Talks Battlebots. We're here with our first episode review of the season. So, previous co-hosts, we have BBBN, Civilian Arc, Blaze, and Spin Doctor. And then we also have Derin, who is making his very first appearance on this channel and on the podcast. So, how's it going, all five of you?
Very good.
Wonderful.
Your mother.
I'm smoking the BBBN pack.
True, and
Yo.
So, yeah. So, pretty much this will be a review of the first episode. We'll go over all 7 fights that you see on this fight card, and we'll also have a short discussion of the top 10 nastiest knockouts, which happened after the first episode, and I believe can be found on on all of Discovery Plus, Amazon Prime, or YouTube if you by chance have any of those and haven't seen it. But regardless, there will be spoilers coming in this, so if you have not seen the episode yet, there will also be spoilers of the upcoming matchups that each of these robots have, and so you kind of get the idea. So if you haven't seen the episode yet and don't want to see spoilers, I'd recommend waiting before watching any further. So I will link if you wish to see like all the Fight Night matchups between the 50 main robots in the description, so you all can check that out if you haven't seen it yet and would be interested in checking that out. Let's go ahead and talk about the first fight of this episode.
Or he's a coward. I think we can all agree on that.
Or is a coward.
Is he hiding?
Coward.
He's hiding from us. He doesn't want to see his boy fall. He doesn't want to see his boy.
But yeah,
Bro,
we lit
don't
up. We're used to seeing Sawblaze in the leadoff fight
Robots gonna
every
take that
season,
place.
every season since the 2019 year.
You know,
But this time we got Ribot and Witch Doctor, which is I kind of predicted this was a fight that was going to happen this season because like Witch Doctor is the runner-up. Ribot was very high seed and did very well in the Golden Bolt tourney. And so we got some vertical spinner on vertical spinner action in this one. And how about y'all share your thoughts on this one?
This one was very much I mean, we'll talk later on in the podcast about Glitch and Riptide, but it was a very similar situation to that. As I mean, I sort of thought the fact that it's like, okay, whoever gets like the first hit and more hits wins, like has a much easier path to winning than the other robot. And I mean, Ribot just sustained a bunch of damage during the entire fight. Like you see wedgelets fall off, you see like wheels fall off. It was very surgical with how like Witch Doctor was driving. And I mean, I was sort of afraid that Witch Doctor would fall into like the rut that they did in the 2020 season. You know, like 2019 they got second like they did in 2021, and they did not have the best start in 2020, and I was kind of worried about that, but I mean, worries were destroyed after this fight. It was a very convincing fight.
Don't you guys just love it when you turn into Discovery Channel, right? And the first 10 minutes of the new BattleBots premiere, you get to see Pori's hopes and dreams of Robot going undefeated be completely smashed.
It's so funny.
Don't you just...
I love when that happens. Alright. Well, I mean, this was a pretty obvious fight to predict. I mean, witches use frogs in potions, so like
Maybe
could Ribot
that's the real reason
Doctor's
why they
just
paired
collecting
Witch
for-
Doctor Ribot up. That's a really good point, boys.
You just need to collect some...
Wait, I have a good
from
point.
later.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happens to the real Blaze.
Spinner, Darren, either of you two want to talk about this fight?
I like this fight, but seeing one of my favorites just die so quickly and so brutally, it was actually really sad to watch. I was really hoping
Have you
Ribot
tried
would
just
put
having
up a
better
fight.
favorites?
What Ribot's great. I don't care what you say, Blaze. You keep going, Spin.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's all I kind of have to say. It's just really sad how quickly this match went. I wish we saw the horizontal against Witch Doctor, honestly.
Yep, which I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out
Yo.
of things to say.
Fusion's gonna beat Witch Doctor.
Oof.
Do you think that?
Fusion's gonna go 3-1.
Darren, you want to talk
Okay,
about
I
that one?
think it'd be really funny if we went 1-3, but its one win is Witch Doctor.
That'd be fun.
No, it's gonna go undefeated.
We'll
Fusion's
get
my
to
dark
talking
horse.
about
It's gonna
that in a
beat
little bit.
Huge.
So let's continue talking about this fight.
Well, I go.
Yep, it's yours. It's your time.
Ah, right, gotcha. Well, let me think here. What could I think of something insightful to say?
Is your
Well,
time
I
to
just.
shine?
I know, I'm
The
trying
mic's
not to
been-
blow it. Well, I am a huge fan of all the Florida teams because I live in Florida, and I was.
Oh, he's
And I also. Witch Doctor is one of my favorite teams. I don't really have a favorite team. I find that's just too difficult because then you have to like defend your opinion or something. I just have a bunch of favorites, and I'm like, just go all these robots. But I will say I was very happy to see Witch Doctor get a KO win against Ribot. It was cause I think Ribot's pretty hard to KO. I don't think they've been KO'd much. I don't really know. I'm not really
Yeah, it doesn't happen very
up to
much.
scratch on my memorizing Ribot's fight.
I think there are only
Yeah.
4 times I can think of that Ribot has been KO'd. Let's see.
Four?
There's Valkyrie in 2019.
Yeah.
Last season
Oh,
there
yeah,
was
Valkyrie.
Hydra and Endgame, and then Witch Doctor.
And then this time, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, my thoughts on this fight. Witch Doctor showing that they are for real.
Yeah, this is pretty
year.
good fight. Pretty good.
Oh, you go ahead. You keep going. Okay, never mind. Well, yeah.
Dang.
I thought
Technical
Witch
difficulties.
Doctor definitely proved that they are for real this year, and because we've all
For real?
shut up.
Okay, it's been guide.
Basically, like we know Ribot so well as not only like a really fast, maneuverable, pretty powerful robot, but it's very well known for its durability. And the fact that Witch Doctor took it out that quickly was incredible, and
Yeah.
just shows like how hard hitting that vertical spinner is. And basically, Witch Doctor actually did a video. At least they're bringing back like behind the scenes type stuff and
cool.
talking about this thing. I
Yo.
would highly recommend checking that out. Their first video is worth a watch. One thing we
It
did
is.
find out in that one is that Ribot was I believe Ribot was actually forced to go with the vertical spinner for this fight because apparently there were malfunctions with the horizontal spinner. So that made it
Oh.
easier.
Yeah.
That made it easier for Witch Doctor to prepare for this fight with Ribot because Ribot's one of those robots it's hard to prepare for because they have 2 very different weapons. So yeah, that made
Yeah.
things a lot harder for. Well, made it a lot easier for Witch Doctor to prepare for Ribot, and yeah,
Do you
damage
think-
wise, Witch Doctor seemed like there was a bunch of chips at least on the weapon and the front plow. Some minor internal damage, but Ribot on the other hand, there's a lot. So, but yeah, was very good showing from Witch Doctor. A very good win to start the season out, in my opinion. So,
Yo, Green, I got
Yeah.
a question for you, homie.
what's up?
Do you think that Ribot wins? Do you think Ribot's chances are better if the horizontal spinner?
I was actually
is
going to
used
ask
because of
that,
the
believe it or
vertical spinner?
not, because
Ah,
yeah,
hey, I
you
beat
read
it
my
to the
mind
punch.
basically. So
There you go. There
yeah,
you go.
in my opinion,
Dang.
like I think the result would have been about the I think the result would have been the same at least. I probably would have still edged Witch Doctor out if I was doing a prediction podcast on that where I knew which Ribot was going with the undercutter. But I do think it'd probably be a closer fight just on the fact that it seems to be the easier to drive configuration for David Jin. So I think they would have a better chance at getting to some of the more vulnerable areas on Witch Doctor out of that, but I think it still would have ended the same way because Mike lately is a phenomenal driver. So
Yes.
no doubt you can
Ye-
deny that. Without everybody
He
else,
is
what do you all think about that? At least, what do you think Ribot's chances would be like if they were able to go with the undercutter for this fight? And
Well,
they did go with the
I
undercutter
heard.
for it. So
well, we've seen. I think Witch Doctor has faced Tombstone before. In the I think they'd probably still come out on top. It'd be probably a bit tougher, but I think they'd still come out on top. Also, sorry about cutting
Mhm.
off. My internet just died.
Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Have we seen a lot
Uh,
of? We haven't seen a lot of Witch Doctor face undercutters. We haven't seen a fight Valkyrie, have we?
Not that I
No,
know of. I don't
no,
think we've seen
that
him
would be a
fight an
good
undercutter.
fight.
But I
We've
mean,
seen him fight one undercutter technically, and that was Rotator in season 2.
Yeah,
That's right.
I guess
But
that
it got
counts.
murdered.
that doesn't
And
count.
even then, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, keep going, BBN.
But I mean, undercutters are just a very interesting. Like, you have to prepare for undercutters differently than you have to prepare for like horizontal spinners differently. Like slightly differently, but still differently nonetheless. I mean, it definitely would have been a harder matchup. Um, but I think how it could have gone it could have just ended up with, Witch Doctor like flipped Ribot upside down, and then it becomes a lot easier for them to get in a lot more consistent hits in. So I think Witch Doctor probably still would have KO'd them, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, Witch Doctor probably would have won this either way by KO, but like I think Ribot might have like at least gotten some big hits in, or like just gotten did something other than just get destroyed and then shoved into the corner. I would have at least like seen like just gashes and wedges, and like I think the horizontal would be more interesting for this fight at least. Maybe not better necessarily, but it's not just Ribot being outverted by Witch Doctor.
yeah.
Seven
Uh,
Blaze.
so, I think the thing with Ribot going in with the horizontal is it's definitely more maneuverable, but I think Witch Doctor, like Michael Lately, could probably still counter that. I think because it's been up against horizontals before. I think Ribot would have a slightly easier time with the horizontal, but I don't think it's like anything that'll do anything significant to Witch Doctor in the long run. But yeah.
What do you think, Blaze?
Right. So I do think that Witch Doctor would still beat Ribot if they used the horizontal. However, if they brought the lifter, that would be a completely different story because Witch Doctor would lose because the lifter is funny.
Wow. Okay. I will
True,
admit
true.
I don't think they brought a lifter config, but it would be funny regardless if they did and they used
That's
it.
a damn shame, man.
Oh yeah.
Has Ribot is Ribot still working on that drum configuration? I've heard that talked about before.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
my guess.
possibly.
Yeah, because like they hinted at a possible drum spinner configuration last year, but then confirmed on this podcast that that wasn't a thing. My guess is probably no, but I don't have proof on that, so uh,
Well, just
I don't
get
know.
proof.
But anyway, so featured right down below, each of these robots' next opponent, based on the Battlebot site. Ribot's going to take on Claw Viper. Witch Doctor's going to take on Fusion, which, yeah, you've heard some discussion on that one from down below. What do we think about that one? But I'm going to answer this one first, because talk about specifically Witch Doctor Fusion, because, like, Witch Doctor and Fusion, Witch Doctor actually hinted at the end of that video. You could see Witch Doctor in the test box with a plow on the front, making me wonder if that's the config they're gonna go with for Fusion. So basically, if I talk about that fight a little bit, like I think that could give Witch Doctor some trouble because like Fusion, not only is Fusion like hard to prepare for, at least with the fact that they're a vertical spinner or a horizontal spinner, but it's possible that Witch Doctor could fall under the same trap Cobalt did, where they could be preparing for one weapon but not the other. Because like Cobalt prepared really well for the horizontal spinner, but then Fusion countered it with the vertical spinner. That could be the same situation for that fight. But then that might not be a worry at all because maybe Witch Doctor designed the plow to be similar to the plow Whiplash used against Bloodsport, which did have some ground game capabilities. So who knows? We'll find out at least sometime soon. But I think it'll be an exciting match. I would probably predict Witch Doctor as of now, but we'll see Fusion's fight with
Boo.
Emulsifier next episode, and that'll be a.
Fusion's gonna go 4-0.
And then Ribot Claw Viper. Hopefully Ribot bounces back from this loss. There was definitely a lot of damage, but I think the Ribot team is definitely very much capable of repairing the robot and all that stuff, because they've done it a lot in the past. They've sustained huge amounts of damage and managed to bounce back from it. Just take like Ribot Uppercut, which is probably the best example I can think of that. And yeah, I don't know what configuration they'd use for Claw Viper. My guess would maybe be, I think I'd lean more towards the horizontal spinner, because they might want to try to, just because it's a lot easier to drive, and that could be a serious driving match between Ribot and Claw Viper right there, and a good way to counter Claw Viper's insane speed. I think it'll be a good match, and I haven't decided which one I'd probably lean towards. I think Ribot's probably the safer choice between the two, but I may go a little spicy, and I might choose Claw Viper for that one, because I think Claw Viper definitely. I think if Kevin can drive it right, I think it's possible he could win this one. But everyone else's thoughts on this, and
I think we'll be seeing Pori on the next episode of when Ribot fights Claw Vapor. We'll be seeing Pori in that episode because Ribot's probably gonna get the win. If he doesn't, if Ribot doesn't, like, if I mean, you can look at the future schedule. His future schedule after, um, after Claw Viper is quite challenging. So this is almost a must-win fight for Ribot, at least. And then, I mean, you look at Witch Doctor. I mean, I think Witch Doctor might have the best chance of just going 4-0, just out of a lot of the robots, just in general. So, I mean, we will see what happens. I'm not like the biggest Fusion stan or anything, but I mean, deny that Fusion can. I can't deny that Fusion can have some good upsets.
Fusion's gonna beat Rotator.
I think a fusion upset against Witch Doctor is somewhat likely, but like I just don't think that Witch Doctor's at the same design disadvantage that Cobalt would be. That if Fusion were to get under Cobalt, I think it would just be down from there. Whereas I don't think Witch Doctor has like the same kind of like design challenges, because like when Witch Doctor gets flipped upside down, its weapon doesn't hit the floor, and it can self-right very quickly and very easily. I think that as long as it just doesn't die in the first 2 minutes, it can just survive until Fusion kills itself.
so you're predicting a Fusion meltdown, which I could see.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
I
think
can
that's
also
probably
see
what I'd
that
be leaning
happening.
towards too.
No, Fusion's gonna fix that problem this year, and they're gonna go 4-0, and they're gonna beat Rotator.
Like
They're gonna destroy Rotator. They're gonna
I
get
hear
the
the
number one
enthusiasm in
seed.
your
No,
voice.
no way they beat Rosie.
Like I think Fusion.
They're gonna beat
could-
Rotator.
I think Fusion could seriously be like a big giant nut contender if they can
No,
fix the meltdowns.
Fusion's gonna win the giant nut. Yeah, Fusion's gonna win the giant nut, man.
Anybody else have anything to say about that stuff? I know we haven't heard from two of you.
I can't really say stuff on the fights that I've like seen
Oh yeah, because I
happen,
think you've
so-
seen these ones, but yeah.
Yeah, I saw most of the match 2 fights, so I can't speak for Witch Doctor versus Fusion or Robot versus Claw Viper, but Doctor versus Gruff, like
That's
I'd
fair. You can
assume Witch Doctor,
talk about that.
I'd assume Witch Doctor wins that, just because
Margrave goes 4-0.
this is Gruff's not low, well, not like very non-low, but like Michael Lately's a really good driver, and just the length of Gruff, it makes it kind of hard to turn at some positions, which I think Witch Doctor can take advantage of. So, and then as for Witch Doctor versus Minotaur, that could very well go either way, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
They're both at a really strong 1-0 right now, so who knows. And then finally, Robot versus who's Robot fighting? Robot versus Jackpot. That could very well go either way too. And then Robot versus Scorpius. I'd think kind of like very anti Hammersaw. So whenever Vert fights a Hammersaw, I'm like, yeah, Vert's gonna win. So I guess I'll just go Robot just out of spite.
Okay.
Interesting.
Don't got any.
I'm offended by your.
You go ahead.
All right, so let's see here. Ribot versus Claw Viper. I think Ribot will probably take it just because it has a more damaging weapon, and I think it might get around the sides easier. And I just have confidence in Ribot, to be honest. I don't really have any deep thoughts there. Witch Doctor Infusion. I gotta say, I expect it to do the same thing, and I kind of expect Fusion to just kind of explode at some point, because it just does that a lot. And I'm really just not convinced yet of that machine. Again, I'll have to see how it performs in its actual first fight for me to get a more concrete answer. But for now, I'll say Witch Doctor, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see Claw Viper and Fusion. And I know Fusion's in the next episode. I don't remember when Claw Viper's first appearance is, but either one of them should be exciting to see.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. I know it's Ominous, I think they're taking on in that one, but
It's
yeah, that should
ominous.
be
It's ominous episode 3.
both of those
Yeah.
should be good fights. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to fight number 2 in this episode. Okay,
Crush
so
time, boys.
yeah, Quantum and Captain Shredderator. So yeah, we get the return of Quantum. We haven't seen Quantum since 2019 in that amazing Crusher design. The Captain Shredderator for this fight is taking them on. Interesting config choice for Captain Shredderator, going a little bit of a wedge on the front to try to get underneath Quantum, which will definitely help to avoid the bite. But yeah, you can see how it kind of turned out, at least just
Didn't
from
really
the
work
picture
out.
right there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
y'all want to talk about this one?
This is just
Oh,
fun.
bozo moment.
Breaking news: local Brit kicks an American's ass.
Yo, how is that? Wait, what?
Reported to CNN.
Well, because
reported to
Quantum's
Fox
from the
News,
UK,
reported to
so
everything.
that's what he's saying.
No, I'm just confused on why it's the local Brit, not just Brit.
Local.
I don't know.
I mean, he's
'Cause
not
it's on the
local
British
either.
news.
I don't think
It's on the British news.
Okay. Shredderator drove into a wall and then broke my heart.
So it was being Captain Shredderator again, is what you're saying.
So it's just
That's
pulled
what
a
I
Had a
Shredderator.
Shredderator moment, yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, Shredderator moment.
Certified Shredder.
That's a
I
good way
mean-
of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was kind of the fight of the episode. Not the
was
best
a
fight,
fight of the episode.
just the fight.
It was a fight.
It was the most fight of all time.
It was a fight
It
that
was.
it was a fight that Discovery aired on January 5th, 2023.
Yo. Yeah, that is true. Shout out to Quantum. Quantum's gonna go 2-0, and then they're gonna end up losing their next 2 fights and miss bracket.
Dang.
It would
And-
suck.
See,
Aw.
Pain.
this was a very good fight for like a tune-up fight, because I mean, not to discount Captain Shredderator any way, shape, or form, but
Can I discredit it?
Man,
you can discredit it for me if you want to.
Sure.
yo, let's discredit Captain Shredderator.
But I mean, Quantum now has the nice looking wedge. For like the 3 like okay hits that Shredderator got on it, it deflected it pretty well. I mean, this was a good fight for Quantum. It was a really good fight for Quantum. I always like seeing when like they get a battery and you just see like the battery like the fire from the battery every single time. It just puts a smile to my face, and good fight for Quantum. Good tune-up fight for them, and they're looking solid.
Yeah. Darren, you want to talk about this fight, and then also share the info you shared with me in Discord?
Sure. Okay, this fight was. I just like this fight because it's just a whatever animal Quantum is supposed to represent playing with a frisbee for 2.5 minutes and catching fire. It was wonderful. I like the Gigabyte versus Tantrum S configuration with the wedge fork things. It was at least more sturdy than Gigabyte's version, which broke, but this one didn't help them at all. But it was still at least you tried. Good. It was just domination from Quantum. Just they just destroyed. They just. I don't think Shredder ever really was on top at any moment in. Now let me share that info I found. According to Nick Nave from the Shredderator team, let's see. He posted this on Reddit. He says, no spin up because the ESCs were no good. 60 amps wasn't enough to make enough torque, and the brushless motors fought each other. So that explains the lack of any actual weapon on the robot.
Yeah.
Certified Shredderator moment, if you ask me.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. What it looked like to me
Alright.
also was there might have been issues with traction as well by Shredderator, because I noticed when they were trying to spin up, like not only was like the spinner spinning, but the wedge and I think the lights that they used to guide also looked like they were spinning too. And I think similar where I'm going with this is similar to like what Gigabyte was having when they fought Copperhead the first time in 2020. I think something like that might have occurred, but definitely what Derin said that you heard from Nick Navi on Reddit. So that definitely explains like what was going on with Shredderator, because like after it rammed itself into the wall and hit Quantum a few times, hit the wall a few more times, we didn't see it spin up. But this was an absolute dominance from Quantum right here. Yeah, we really got to see some great action from that Crusher, and glad to see that thing back once again, and definitely showing that it's fiercer than ever, and a robot that most teams would probably not want to fight, at least. So yeah, great stuff from Quantum. Hopefully we'll see Shredderator bounce back after seeing some first fight gremlins. And yeah, so we know from their next matchups that Captain Shredderator will take on Hijinks.
No, Green, no, I'm not getting skipped over again.
What? You were
Alright.
talking about that stuff. Go, Blaze.
Alright. Exactly. I was waiting for everyone to take their turn.
And then tell what you, and then after that talk about what you think of their next fight.
Alright, so Shredderator versus Quantum. I mean, realistically, this could only possibly go in Quantum's favor because of that big plow. As Derin, I believe, was saying,
Yeah, that's
they ran Shredderator, copied the Gigabyte team and started to run a kind of a fork configuration, which, I mean, Gigabyte's been doing that for years, but now Shredderator has some, which is pretty interesting. Okay, and on their next fights, well, Shredderator's definitely gonna lose to Hijinks because, well, he's gonna pull a Shredderator. I want to pull up the fights real quick.
Talk about Quantum Gruff. Like, just stick with their next fight,
Right.
and I'll give Civ an exception
Dang.
since he's seen most of these fights. So
That's fair. Alright. But, as much as I've been joking that Gruff's gonna go 4-0, I don't think they'll beat Quantum, but I do hope that Quantum bites the fuel tank because it would be funny. Okay, there we go. I'm happy now.
all right.
Oh wait, I didn't talk about Ribot versus Ribot and Witch Doctor's next fight.
You talked about Witch Doctors.
We're already past that, home dog.
Dang.
Mantine.
Yo, who
Hey,
joined?
Mantine.
Mantine.
What are we talking about? Let's go,
Mantine.
Cobalt!
Okay.
Yo.
So
How about y'all talk about these next two fights?
So I mean, as much as I feel like every single fight, Captain Shredderator has the opportunity to pull a Captain Shredderator. I actually think the Hijinks might be a fight that they can possibly win.
Whoa.
Based off of the fact, I mean, we saw it fight Axe backwards, who had a really long weapon and 2 wheels at the end. And then what happened? Didn't they knock off one of the wheels? So that could possibly happen with Hijinks. Do I think if they, I think that's like a small possibility that they win, but I don't think. What am I trying to say? I have no fucking clue. On to
Okay, but
Quantum.
BBBN.
What?
Okay.
Okay, on to Quantum.
But
I think it has a good shot at beating Gruff. I feel like it's not. I mean, Gruff's top armor is a lot stronger than Captain Shredder's top armor, so that may pose some problems for Quantum. But we will have to wait and see.
Yeah.
yes.
For next fight, Captain Shredder versus Hijinks. I think even though Shredderator has a chance, it could do what it did against Tombstone, just be strong enough to break their weapon, or just be a wedge and out wedge Hijinks, or yeah, as Derin said, take out a wheel. However, I think that Hijinks is gonna win because Hijinks is gonna go 4-0 and then win the giant nut. As for Quantum versus
Yo.
Gruff,
Democrat.
I do think Quantum's just gonna control Gruff and just clamp down into Gruff. However, I do see a scenario where Gruff sort of did what they did against Kraken and just somehow got under and just control the rest of the fight while Quantum just on their head. But I do think that's likely just Quantum win.
Interesting.
Valid.
Darren or Mantine, either of you two want to
Quantum
talk about
moment.
this?
Well, okay, so
Is
Shredderator.
Mantine here? Oh,
Hello,
Mantine's
yeah.
here.
What's up, man? Shredderator always has like a coin flip of a chance to either work or spin up and die instantly within like 5 seconds. If it works, it's a very
This
good.
fight, I guess.
It's a very good matchup for Hijinks, just because you know. Whose microwave just went off? What the fuck? Hijinks, yes.
I have put prime rib in the microwave.
Are you microwave man?
He is.
Yeah.
He's just
Hijinks is a really bad matchup for Shredder is a really bad matchup for Hijinks, just because Hijinks can't really do anything. The wedge is too narrow to ever actually like block anything that Shredder can do, and its bar is just gonna bounce off. So Shredder could win that if it actually works. And
It won't.
as for Quantum and Gruff, if you guys like Razor and Tornado, you'll
What
love
are we doing?
Gruff and Quantum. It's gonna be the same fight pretty much. It's just a big fucking box that does nothing against a Razor who's gonna like never let go, and Gruff.
No, they're gonna bring the tornado cage or the razor cage. I
If
forgot what it's
Gruff
called.
brings
razor
a
cage.
fucking Razor cage, I am
Someone
going to go
please.
ballistic. I'm going
Please,
to
someone
lose
bring the
it.
tornado cage.
I'm going to lose my fucking marbles live on the air. I'm
It
actually
is
gonna
gonna
end
be
it.
the
Nice.
best
Yo.
thing ever.
I'm gonna be so salt. If it doesn't work and they bring one, I'll laugh my
Hold
ass
on.
off. But if it does work, I will never. The salt will never end. I'm gonna be so sad.
Darren, you want to talk?
No, so didn't Razor
I have
win
no idea what happened.
the tornado fight?
It won one of them that it should have lost, and it lost one that it should have won. So look at that.
Dang.
However,
So-
That's pretty.
So that was weird.
So
I
it's
couldn't hear
50-50.
Mantine at all. So
oh yeah, hello.
He said nothing
hello,
before.
hello, clown.
Yeah. Well, does he ever say anything important?
Yes.
True.
Only when he complains about everything to us.
Oh god.
So that is literally
Oh.
your entire brand. Is complaining.
That is.
That's true.
That's all you do.
Darren, you want to talk about their upcoming matchups?
Oh jeez. Let me think. I actually think Captain Shredder might actually be able to pull off the win against Hijinks. Barely, but I think if they can just last the hits, like Hijinks, because I'm thinking of this feels familiar to when they fought Tombstone, because they're kind of similar in that they're both horizontal bar spinners. Admittedly, Hijinks might be a bit more durable than because the bar is not in multiple pieces. But I don't know. I really don't know how that fight would go. I think it's really a toss-up based on who works and for how long.
Yeah.
Quantum versus Gruff. Quantum's winning. No question. I think Quantum's gonna win that. Gruff, I can't really think of what they could do to Quantum to KO them or make them lose, except for maybe get under them and lift them a couple times. I think Quanta's probably gonna take the next fight. And yeah,
Yeah.
those are my thoughts.
So for Captain Shred and
That's mine
Hijinks,
left.
so yeah. So for Captain Shred and Hijinks, I think this is a bad matchup for Hijinks because Captain Shredderator is very well designed to take on horizontal spinners. Whereas with that shell spinner design, and Hijinks is a horizontal spinner. But the reason why I'm probably gonna go Hijinks on that fight is because Captain Shredderator is not reliable enough to me for me to predict Captain Shredderator for that fight. Because what I'm most worried about, because I think either what's going to happen is Shredderator is going to win by controlling the match if it works well, but if it starts having reliability problems in any way, whether it loses the spinner, loses drive, whatever it is, Hijinks probably takes this one, and that's probably what I'm going for with this one. But Quantum and Gruff, I think we're going to get a real demonstration of what that Crusher can do in that fight, because definitely Gruff definitely showed it has better lifter power than what it had the previous few seasons, and its durability was overall pretty good, but we'll talk about that when we get to Gruff and Ripperoni. But I'd probably lean towards
Next.
Quantum. I think that's going to be I'm going to predict Quantum by a judge's decision this one. I could see a KO though, but I think Quantum will. I think Quantum will take a bit of time for them to KO Gruff though, if that fight does end in a knockout. So. Anyway, unless if anybody else has anything left to say about this, we're gonna move on to next
I
fight.
have one thing to say.
Go ahead.
Never forget that one moment in the fight where that one moment in the fight where Captain Shredderator got under Quantum. That was the only good Shredderator moment.
Has good moments.
All their Shredder are bad Shredderator now.
No, the only that's the only Shredderator moment. Period.
Clearly.
It-
Nothing else has happened with Shredderator other than getting under Quantum.
I mean, Shredderator technically hasn't competed in Battlebots. Shredderator has competed in like Robo games and other robotic competitions.
Of
But
course, you could ever
Exactly.
go it that way. But yeah, let's move on to the next battle then.
It's chaos. That's what this fight was. Just
Yo,
chaos.
best
was
fight
so
of the
fun.
episode.
So
So,
basically,
I-
then we got Gruff and Ripperoni. Ripperoni being the only newcomer robot to appear in the first episode, and they got a pretty tricky matchup with a control bot such as Gruff, but it's a good test. And I will admit right off the bat, before I leave the floor to these five to share their thoughts, at least, I loved all the pizza jokes that were going on, especially Sam's mozzarella joke when he explained their strategy for this fight. I thought it was pretty funny. And there were some funny moments in this fight, too. Both Ripperoni's breakdance, I'm sure at least one of these five are going to bring up. And Fred more, I thought he was very entertaining in the match. The first thing being his costume is spot on. Him circling the driver's box. And what was the last one? The excitement he had at the end of that fight was all comedy gold. But all right, floor to you five to talk it out with this fight.
Okay,
I'm gonna
I'll go
I'm gonna
first.
let some other people
No.
go first.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they
I'm
can get the
going first.
positives out of the way.
All right. So I called this fight that Gruff was gonna beat Ripperoni, and Ripperoni did the breakdancing thing, but obviously I did that in BattleBots Armageddon with Monsoon first. Definitely 100%. That was
wow.
definitely recorded before BattleBots. But anyways,
Although I'm going to counter you, Blaze, because I've actually done it first, both Electric Boogaloo and RA2.
oh dang, I didn't know that. What? That's pretty funny. So you made Electric Boogaloo do the Boogaloo.
Keep going, Blaze. Talk about this fight.
Okay. But Ripperoni versus Gruff was probably the best fight of the episode, and if they were different bots, and this wasn't, and Minotaur Tantrum wasn't the main event, I could see this fight being a main event just because of how fun it was to watch. All right. BBBN, you want to go now?
I'll let other people go. I'll let other people go.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Okay.
I'll go. So, I have some takes about this fight. My first take is that this is my favorite fight of the episode. Because,
True.
like, also seeing it live was fucking fun as fuck. Because you're like right in front of the box and you're seeing like Ripperoni get some good shots on Gruff, seeing Ripperoni breakdance and shit. It was fun. This is also probably the best Gruff fight we've had in a while. Because, like, usually Gruff kind of just does subpar in most of the fights, but this time Gruff was actually like doing like awesome shit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Spin or Darren?
Let me think. I'll go first, I guess. This was. I don't think there are words to describe how chaotic this fight was. I think I could best summarize it with by just saying that I think Ripperoni scored negative control points and proved that it is possible to do that because holy goodness, it was bouncing around. It looked like a robot from a smaller weight class, like from a lot smaller of a weight class. So it was just bouncing everywhere, and it was still working. Like that was the most impressive part. It just kept working for the most part, despite all the hits it was taking. And did I say the thing about the flywheel now or not?
Go ahead.
Ah, so you'll notice that they talked about the flywheel before the fight, and if I remember correctly, uh, the flywheel was on at the beginning of the fight, and it was why they were able to drive pretty good at the start. But then they lost that wedge thing at the front of the bot that keeps the weapon from hitting the ground. And I'm just trying to find the post that they said. Here it is. Okay, so they lost the wedgelet, and the weapon hit the ground. And at that point, so at that point they decided to keep the weapon spinning at full power, and they also decided to turn off the anti-gyro flywheel to preserve battery so they could keep self-righting, which is why the robot started gyring like crazy after about a minute or so.
Yeah, absolutely. BBN, you want to share your take since it sounds like they're
So-
different from the rest of us?
So, as much as I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, I don't care. I don't give a shit. As much as how
Should we have
ingenious the
Mantine in here?
flywheel is, how ingenious it is, the design of Ripperoni has me triggered to a level that like makes me upset.
Do you not
Yes,
like
you have a
pizza?
powerful weapon. Yes, you have all of this jazz. It doesn't mean jack shit if robots can just get under you super easily on one of your sides.
I fully agree with that.
It's super.
Dang.
It's such a combination of such a good design and such a bad design at the same time that like.
So it's
I mean, I'm not surprised that Gruff
the
won,
design.
even though I picked Ripperoni. I'm not surprised that Gruff won it all. But I'm just like.
Wins it all? Dang.
Although
Spoilers.
to Ripperoni's defense, it did get under Gruff a few times this fight.
Right.
Gruff did like die at the end. Like its spinner at least worked. It did what it's supposed to do.
Yeah,
I don't
Gruff
know.
died.
I'm just
Wait,
not.
what?
I'm just not a huge fan of Ripperoni.
that's fair.
Gruff started smoking and then
Dang.
just stopped moving. I don't know what happened to Gruff. I'm just assuming it
Yeah,
died.
with Gruff, it looks like its drive. Like I think that was its light, but I think it was battery fire and Gruff. If I took a guess, what that was. Like I think and Ripperoni also was smoking at the end of that, and
He was.
yeah. So yeah, my takes on
Dang,
this
they
one.
were
Both
they're
of them
becoming
were
chain
smoking the
smokers.
BBBN pack.
Yeah, my takes on
Yeah.
this one. I thought this was an enjoyable fight. They definitely like. It looked like it was also possible that Ripperoni's spinner might have been hitting the floor even when it was right side up. I think because like we saw
Yeah.
Ripperoni's wedge get bent into it pretty early, and then soon enough it looked like it was hitting the ground at points in the fight. But yeah, my original thoughts were the flywheel spinner stopped working partway through it, but what Darren said right there makes a lot of sense, at least, and why they would turn off the flywheel in order to preserve the robot, because, yeah, it's much better to have movement, even if it's not exactly the most controllable movement and a working weapon, then
They got rid of that.
losing drive partway through the match and having a repeat of like Tantrum and Valkyrie from that season or something like that. And we got a fun fight out of it, and in my opinion at least, I respect BBBN's takes. Like, I'm sure not everybody enjoyed this one, and that's totally okay.
I
And
didn't. This wasn't my favorite fight of the
I
episode.
think it
oh
was.
yeah,
Well, I think it.
What?
Well,
What was your favorite fight? What?
We'll get to that soon.
yeah, we'll
well, I
talk.
think it was a.
Uh,
I think it was a good fight. I just don't like Ripperoni.
Yeah,
I can forgive
Dang.
Ripperoni's like glaring design problems if it's at least fun, and it is
Yeah.
that. So I don't
Yeah.
care that it's not like the
Yeah.
best design.
How
They
much-
did
Kinda-
something new and interesting, and I can respect
It's
Yeah.
it's kind
How-
of like this season's fusion, I guess.
It,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it
that
was
doesn't
it was
count.
so much fun seeing Fred have so much fun driving Ripperoni in this fight, and that was incredible to see. But yeah, as we see in that next opponent area, yeah, Gruff, we've already talked about that one, so we'll just talk about the Ripperoni one. Ripperoni as endgame.
Free drop
That
points.
is a
Ripperoni
big
is
step. That is
taking
a
a
big
hard
step up.
L.
Up and
Poor
Free draft
Ripperoni.
points. Let's go.
all right. So, anybody else want to talk about that one before I share at least what I was going to talk about this one?
I was really hoping Gruff would somehow Uda Ripperoni. They got really close to the Uda corner. I was hoping
Oh,
that
that
like
would've been
they just
Oh,
hit the
that
floor
would've
and
been
then just
fun.
go over. That would
That
be
would've
so
been
funny.
Oh
funny.
yeah. The corners got like very high walls now.
I
Yeah.
like
pretty
that.
neat.
I think less vertical
I-
Udas are great.
I have takes on it. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Um,
Dang, Suv has takes? No way.
but
That's
I
crazy.
I do have one question, and this question is for Darren. This is like a podcast initiation question.
Oh no.
Who do you think would win in a fight, Grabot or Ghost Raptor
Oh
after
my
the Cobalt
gosh.
fight?
Oh
Repeat that, I
no.
couldn't hear you.
Velociraptor wins easily. Very
Oh, wait,
simple.
repeat the question.
Who would win in a fight, Grabot or Ghost Raptor after the Cobalt fight?
Well, I mean, they fixed Ghost Raptor after the
Well,
Cobalt
what
fight.
he's saying,
and
what
it
he's
ended
saying
up
is
being
before,
just
what he's
right
saying is
after,
before it got
right
repaired.
after the fight.
Right when the hit happened.
On the basis that at least Grabot could move, I think Grabot. But only because
man,
they could
he's
actually
wrong.
move.
I mean, I would be
But
on
like,
side
the
grab
thing
on.
is that
Grabot would find a way to lose that match. All I'm saying.
I mean, that I would be surprised.
Yeah.
okay. I have an important question. All right, Darren, would Mammoth beat Cobalt in a fight?
That's he
Uh,
left. Wow, I can't believe he left.
He left.
Oh, there he is.
Yo,
I
what's
think
up,
that's
Mantine?
Mantine.
Yo, it's Mantine.
what? Let me ask you this. What should my answer be?
What's the
Oh,
question?
there's funny
He's
lore you
refer-
should
he-
watch.
There's a re-
There's
there's
a
a
correct answer.
there's a
here.
there's a reference involving this involving
Hold
one of my
on.
previous RE2 vids. We'll let Mantine talk now about that.
No, I was.
Yeah.
Wait, what am I talking? What am I talking about?
He was referencing Cobalt Mammoth. You know a lot about that one.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
Mammoth would
so does
absolutely
Civ.
win that one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
Sorry, through logic. I think I know what you're trying to say.
I'm saying we're saying that Civ is really notoriously bad at drawing, and there's actually a whole video series about it, and you should check it out.
I will try
True.
to.
oh,
Yeah, man.
that's funny.
True.
But yeah, back to this topic, since I don't think anyone else is really going to share any takes on Ripperoni Endgame. I'll share mine then before we get to the next battle. Before we get to talk about the next battle. So yeah, that's a rough matchup for Ripperoni right there. Like, definitely Endgame is one of the worst possible verts to get paired up with right here, but I do have a little bit of hope that Ripperoni manages to get the entire thing working to where they can work have the vertical spinner and the flywheel going at the same time. Then they might have a chance against Endgame, but I think Endgame's kind of my safe bet. I think the only way I really think Ripperoni would maybe take out Endgame would be maybe Endgame goes with a risky fork strategy something new like that, like what we
They
saw in
bring
their
they
first
bring the
few,
long ass forks like last time.
like what we saw in some of their
Yeah.
first few fights from first season. Because like I think if they go with like the piano keys wedgelets we've been hearing about, or the setup they use against like Minotaur or several of the other vertical spinner ground game robots they went up against last season, I think Ripperoni is gonna die. So, yeah.
Well, I mean,
But
it did just come off a gruff match, so
ha ha ha.
Ah,
Anything else to talk about here? Should we move on to the next battle?
Oh,
I actually have a hot take with Ripperoni Endgame. I think
nah, free draft
Ripperoni.
points, boys.
I think Ripperoni is gonna win the Endgame.
that's
Like,
a
I
cold
am
take.
actually thinking about to be
That's a-
honest,
I-
Finn. I am actually thinking about going spicy. I
am
may
just-
pick Ripperoni when I do the prediction podcast on that episode.
I don't want to be
Nah,
that
nah, free
analytic
draft
person,
points, boys.
But I was watching the
draft
trailer
points.
and I saw a clip of Endgame versus Ripperoni, and that clip did not look strong for Endgame. But like, they're most likely gonna win this. But my money's just gonna be on Endgame. I mean, on Ripperoni because it's
oh
funny.
no, he's putting
Yeah, it's
bets on
gonna be on
Endgame.
Endgame.
No,
We got it. We got
Yeah,
it.
Putting bets
so
on Endgame, boys.
What
Like,
Finn
we'll
is
make some fun of Finn.
referencing right there is there was a clip of that fight in the trailer for this season, but
Oh,
I've
man.
learned from 2019 that you might see something.
Clips can
You
be-
might see something in like a clip or a
What
picture or
fight
something,
in the
but that
the
will probably
2019
not
trailer are
deter.
you
But that
referencing?
backfired on me so much when making predictions, assuming that was going to determine the winner. That yeah, I fucked with my predictions a lot. So
I think
I've learned to not
Ripperoni.
count on that.
Which fight are you referencing?
He was talking about how there was a clip from Ripperoni Endgame. In
No,
I
you.
think
No,
he's asking what
no,
fight you're
from
referring to
2019.
regarding.
I wasn't
Yeah.
really referring to. Oh well, there's several examples of that. I wouldn't be able to name them all, nor do I remember.
Could you name
many,
one?
Nor do I remember those. But yeah, because I remember.
Dang.
I judged
have a
a lot.
better memory.
I judged a lot of fights based off of the trailer from 2019 and fight pictures that were posted, and that's how I made a bunch of my predictions for those weeks based off of what we were able to see from that, and that backfired on me so much I don't do that anymore, and why it's not so much fun to watch people overanalyze fight pictures or trailers.
True.
That's why I hated people getting upset at me for predicting Hydra over Glitch. Like, calm down. It's just one picture.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to fight number 4, I think it is.
Big.
There. So next up, Huge and Shatter, two pretty big names in Battlebots.
Two pretty huge names.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can say that they're pretty
giant.
huge names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge went with a spinner meant for cutting. We got the Tegris wheels, like what we've seen quite a few times last season. Shatter, special armor configuration to provide some extra defense against Huge, along with going with the Mary Special spinner, which was probably something they could try to go for the weapon belt.
Mary Special spinner?
So the Mary Special hammer.
Yeah, the spinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
I mean, the hammer somewhat spins to strike, so.
The
I
hammer
mean,
is
okay,
just
every
a
single
spinner.
bot is a vertical spinner, and I can prove it.
Yeah.
Okay, Raider.
Well.
Predator, when just turn it on its side.
Shred
Boom,
Raider for
vertical
the first
spinner.
5 seconds of the match.
If it gets turned
Guys,
on
we're
its
getting
side,
off
it's
Turn
not
on
gonna
its-
work again.
All right, how about y'all talk? How about
Exactly.
y'all talk about Huge and Shatter?
A good fight.
Yeah, it was solid. I expected Huge to win because there's next to nothing Shatter can do. It just kind of would have to pray that Huge broke, and Huge usually doesn't break on its own. So it was.
Well, I
It was a good
mean,
fight though. It was
Fight
entertaining.
Force Fate moment.
Well, yeah, that wasn't really breaking on its own. That was just kind of like residual
Fight Force
damage
moment.
wave.
Well, no, you see, Fight Force just has plot armor.
Yeah, pretty much.
I will say that I think Huge impressed me the most out of everyone in this out of this fight card. Because, Huge isn't known for doing a bunch of damage to a robot. Huge is known for having giant ass wheels. But
You
after
could
this
say that
fight,
they're huge wheels.
they are huge wheels.
Ban him.
But I will say after the, I will say after this fight, I was more impressed than ever with its weapon. So I mean, most improved and most impressive robot of the episode. I mean, for me, goes to Huge. There wasn't a lot that Shatter could do because if Shatter attacks it from the front, you're facing the spinner. If you're attacking it from the sides, you can't do much damage because you're hitting the wheels. The most damage it could have done was what it did in like hitting like one of the tipping bars off. But there literally wasn't a lot that Shatter could have done to beat Huge. But Huge still impressed me.
I kind
This
of
fight.
disagree. I think that if they landed hits on the body, there could have been a chance, but like I just don't think that Huge would have allowed that with the course of spinner and just sort of driving well enough to avoid getting hit with the hammer a lot. They're using the large wheels as sort of shields for the hammer. I
Mhm.
was really impressed with the spinner. This is the first time I've been like particularly impressed with Huge since like the Bite Force fight in 2018. But this is a really cool fight. I'm really sad because I was really rooting for Shatter. I love the hammer bots, but this one was just very slow death for Shatter. And then when they got high center on the wall, that was such a sad way for it to go out.
Alright, yeah, Blaze, Mantine, Derin, or Civ.
Or Civ. You said Civ twice.
I'm in,
There's
I'm
two
in
Don't forget
pain.
Civ.
Shatter,
And
Go
Shatter
first.
lost, and I'm in pain.
That's
Let's,
fair, because Shatter's awesome. Huge is awesome
yeah,
too.
Shatter's. I don't know about that.
Shatter's
Imagine
Shatter.
Give it another fight. Give it another fight. We'll see.
yeah. Alright,
This is a good fight, I think. Let me think. Shatter did manage to snipe that rod thing on the side of Huge. The self-rider poles. I think that's what those are meant to do. Anti-tip poles. And I remember, I think once during the fight, Huge actually kind of nearly got stuck on the side on the wheel that didn't have the pole on it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe like a
Yes.
second.
Yes.
It was really near the end, and that was, I think, the only chance Shatter had to potentially win. Then they got yeeted into the wall and then died. So
Yeah.
A fun fact about that: the audience kind of almost like screamed out of shock because they thought Huge was gonna kill itself.
Oh, that's funny.
Man.
But yeah, kind of my takes on this fight. Yeah, I think Shatter went about this one the right way, at least with the hammer config they use. Cause like I think if they maybe went with like New Rusty or whatever that name is, whatever they named the hammer that they used against robots like Riptide and Pain Train in last season, they could have maybe attacked the body of Huge and tried to penetrate something. But like with the Mary Special, I think that's reasonable because the best way to beat Huge in this fight is probably disable the weapon, and so the Mary Special is the best hammer choice that Shatter has when it comes to wanting to accomplish that task. Because Huge has multiple belts there, and I noticed Shatter did get one of them actually, because there was one on the ground, but then Huge has many, so Shatter. I want to say they had 4 total, maybe, if I saw what I saw correctly. But regardless, though, Shatter put up a pretty good fight on Huge. But like many people have said here, this was just a bad matchup for Shatter, and definitely will be interesting to see how Shatter rebounds from this one. And yeah, unless if anybody else has anything they want to say about the fight, or anybody who hasn't been able to go over anything about this fight, we'll move on to their next opponents. For
Okay.
what, Blaze?
Well, this was a pretty huge loss for Shatter, and Huge got a pretty huge win. Okay, I'm done with the
Blaze, you're
puns now.
muted. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm muting you.
Well, Yeah,
I'm
so
done with the puns now.
so we know Huge is gonna take on Blip for their next fight, and Shatter is gonna take on Beta in a hammer on hammer battle. Battle I've been wanting for a while. So, what's everyone's thoughts on those two matchups?
Uh,
They're matchups.
I think.
I am. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, thank you.
We finally got the hammer v hammer fight.
That is huge.
Bonk.
Or fuck.
Bonk.
Um.
No, that's Shatter.
That's
That
Shatter.
plays
So-
PTSD.
So on one hand, it's kind of like, okay, well, what can Blip do to Huge? And I'm sure they'll have some sort of config to deal with Huge, but I'm glad that they've finally given Huge a match that it was built to take on, which is a robot that can't really do anything to Huge. Like, Huge was built to
No
fight
way.
these things that were, not meant to hit the body of Huge and be able to do anything to Huge. And it always, every single season, seems to get some sort of opponent that bypasses its entire purpose. So I'm glad that it's finally getting fights that it can actually feasibly win. That being said, Blip is pretty tough.
We're just gonna lose the fusion.
Maybe. That being said, Blip is
No,
pretty
it won't.
tough, and I don't know. Blip seems like the kind of robot that has a lot of armor, right? Where Huge is gonna probably hit. So in that sense, I could see it definitely getting a win here. I think that fight could go either way. As for the Shatter fight, Beta doesn't have any forks for the 18th season in a row, and John Reed's too fucking stubborn and petty to put them on, so he's probably going to lose. And, Shatter doesn't have the best ground game, but Beta's ground game is absolutely atrocious, so I don't see much of a way that Beta really wins that fight unless they really pull something out of their ass.
Mantine. That's just a really, really low wedge. Trust.
Yeah, no, it's precision milled. It's like the Plunderbird team. They've got the precision milled wedge, dude.
Plunderbird
Right.
team. That's
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well, I mean, okay, never mind. I have decided that I'm not done with the puns because I can see a few more. So Blip has a pretty huge matchup against Huge, but I think Huge is probably going to win the Blip match. But I can see Blip winning because, for one, they don't need the ground game against Huge. I would be, and plus, I mean, I bet half the bots at Battlebots have a configuration just for Huge, just because of how unique it is. And yeah, so Huge is gonna lose all of its next fights here. So, and then Shatter, Beta. What really? I can't say anything that hasn't already been said. Okay, I'm done now.
alright.
Probably.
I have some takes for the next fight. Next fights for these bots. So Huge versus Blip. I am very scared for Blip because I do see a way they can win this, just like using their flipper on the wheels, obviously. But I'm just really concerned because you have Blip's first fight, which is really scary, and then you just have a design that is, in theory, should do really well against Blip. So I'm scared for Blip. And then Shatter versus Beta. I think that's gonna be a fun fight, but I do see just Shatter just dominating with forks. And I am, fingers crossed, hoping that Shatter snipes Beta's hammer. That would be so amazing.
Civ or Darren? Well, I suppose Civ has probably seen these fights. Maybe.
I've seen the fights.
Alright then.
Yeah. I've
Let's
seen
see.
'em.
Huge versus Blip. I think Huge has this pretty much, unless Blip uses a, I don't know, anti-Huge configuration, which it probably has, but I have no idea what that looks like, so I can't really make a judgment call. Shatter and Beta. Why do you must do hurt me, Battlebots? I love both of these machines. I mean,
Bonky bonk.
it's gonna be a very bonking battle because
Yeah, who
wacky
outbonks
sticks.
the other?
I
love
think
bonking.
Shatter will probably take this, even though I absolutely love Beta a lot because I just love it. It does damage. I think Shatter will probably take this.
Dude, I think Shatter.
Mother got it, shitter.
Shitter should have a
That was
Straight
Shitter,
up
oh my
male
gosh,
versus
that was
shitter.
funny. Yeah. So
Actually,
Yeah.
I forgot. I actually didn't see the Shatter beat a fight.
all right,
I
what's your
can
take
tell
on it?
my- So, my take is pretty much what Mantine has, is that Shatter's a lower robot and by extension will be better. Although, I think Abita might have slightly better push power than Shatter in my opinion. But I don't think that'll be enough to like beat Shatter.
I think Beta definitely has the better push power between those two robots, but
You
your
just need
point still
Quantum
stands.
versus
So,
Kraken.
Yeah, my takes with these two upcoming matchups, Huge and Blip, like that's a great matchup for Huge because it's got the big design advantage, but I would not be surprised if Blip has a configuration specifically for Huge, and like it would not shock me if we see something for Huge right there, because I doubt Blip's gonna go in with just the spinner, because I think they'll have a very hard time flipping Huge off the ground at least, and that's a big disadvantage. So I think an attachment is definitely expected in this fight. I don't think Blip's gonna come in with its normal form for this fight, but it should be exciting to see. Shatter and Beta, I would give Shatter the edge, but what I think this one's going to come down to is who can get the right shot first, because both these two robots have the same weakness. Their hammer areas are pretty exposed for the other to strike, although I think Shatter has the better defenses when it comes to protecting that, along with their advantages in like ground game, while Beta has the advantage in push power. I'd lean towards Shatter on this
Well,
one because I think Shatter
Green,
has a better chance
there's
at getting that big hit over
there's something
Beta.
you're not
But
considering.
what?
Beta doesn't fire the hammer.
I bet we'll see the hammer fired more often this year. But yeah, I think that one comes down to who can get the death blow first between the two and possibly disable the
Death
other's
blow?
hammer, because I feel they're both gonna try. Because I feel they're gonna try to disable the other's weapon at least, just because of the fact that they're both so exposed. So that's my take on that one. Anything else on that, or should we move on to the next fight?
Yo.
Yeah, I wish I could have found a better image, but this was the best I could find. So we got Riptide and Glitch, the two rookies of the year last season,
Hey.
and they're squaring off. And yeah, and was a pretty quick battle. So
I
thoughts on this
say,
one?
knockout.
I say that everyone should only take 20 seconds per time to say what they thought about the match.
Well,
In-
Riptide
in,
sucks. Okay, there we go. I took less.
In ode to how long the fight actually lasted. I mean,
I think you're taking longer than 20
Riptide's
seconds
driver
there.
was right. He said, I mean, Riptide's driver was right when he said, "Hey,
No, that's
it's
impossible.
gonna be a knockout blow, like right off of the bat. Whoever gets the first one will win." And then Riptide won. Isn't that crazy?
Man, which one in my heart though?
Mantine, do you have any opinions on this episode of Kill Yourself on Glitch?
Well,
Oh
this is
yeah,
actually
it's a return.
this is probably my favorite surprise twist of the season. Riptide actually didn't kill themselves on Glitch, which is a first in this show. I'm really impressed at the writer's ability to change it up, and I'm glad that they adapted to what the viewers wanted to see.
Okay. I think
Glitch
I think I know
sucks.
why Glitch lost. Okay,
Yeah,
Glitch
because
lost because they
I'll tell you why.
actually moved.
No, I'll
Well,
tell you why
actually,
Glitch
Darren's
lost.
got info on what happened to Glitch in that fight.
I'll tell you
Dang, but
what. I'll
like,
tell you what happened.
let
to
us
Glitch.
have fun.
Riptide didn't fucking just feed itself into Glitch and kill itself. That's what happened.
No, Glitch actually drove. So
It did, and then it drove,
that's
and
why they
for some
lost.
reason, yeah, it drove, and for some reason, through driving, Riptide then like felt the need to not kill itself, which is interesting.
Whoa,
Nice.
like that's an interesting man. Can't believe that Kill Yourself on Glitch had another plot twist. Wow. I
One
love
of my
this
favorite
show.
plot twists. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So my thoughts. Well, that was fast. Well, at least the robot I hated the least one. Next point. Let's see here. According to Discord, let me just find the message here from Kyle Glitch. In that one hit, according to him, all the encoders unplugged, and I think he also says we think our shafts were slipping in our motors from wearing down the holes or placing the shafts, and our encoder readings got off. I think what that means is just a lot of stuff broke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like a lot of internals disconnected on that one hit, and yeah, it caused them to
Yeah.
completely lose drive, possibly just lose power in general. Because I think normally the weapon would have helped them self-right, but that was not the
Yeah,
case in this fight.
I mean, from a dead stop, doesn't have enough torque to actually get moving to actually self-right when it's in that flat position.
Yeah.
That's one question I want to know, like, if that's possible.
Yeah, I heard they were running at half power once they got flipped over, so I think something fucked up when they got hit by Riptide.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
one of the wheels was still moving after the hit. Like, you can see when they got pushed on after the second hit, when they got slammed onto the deck, you can see only one wheel was still turning. Wait,
Now
it was kinda sad.
the grand question here that I think we're all wondering is, does Glitch suck? Is Riptide fantastic, or is it some little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit
Neither.
of both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit.
I think
Type
Glitch
doesn't
Little bit
have the will to live in this fight.
Glitch just sucks.
Glitch.
I think
It-
Glitch sucks.
Riptide sucks, but Glitch sucks a little more, apparently.
Yeah.
That's very likely.
Lol. But
Both are equally likely. Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
It's
just
probably
glad
a
we
little
got
bit of
this
both.
fight because I think it was inevitable we were gonna get this fight because of the whole 2 rookies of the year thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
100%.
Definitely.
They
Right.
brought it up like a couple
At
times.
least 5%.
But yeah, my takes on this fight at least was a lot quicker than I imagined, and I was hoping to see a weapon-on-weapon shot just to see what would happen between those, whether the reach or in this case the ground game of Riptide versus the egg beater of Glitch. I thought that'd be interesting to see, but yeah, Ethan said right before the fight he did not want to go weapon-on-weapon at Glitch in that fight just because of the whole tell of the tale, kill yourself on Glitch thing, and he definitely accomplished that strategy.
Ethan watches our video?
Manages
Yo.
to strike the front and managed to KO Glitch. So
Yo, Ethan watches in the green square?
I don't know if he watches in
Yo.
the green square. I don't know, but yeah, Riptide won this by KO, and yeah, I don't think there's much more really to
Free
talk
draft
about with
points
this one. I don't
for
think there's really
next-
much more
the
to talk
next
about
two
with this
fights.
one, but yeah, both these robots have a difficult matchup coming for their next matchup. Glitch is going to take on Lockjaw. Riptide is going to take on Mad Catter. We're going to see those two robots in the upcoming episodes. I know Mad Catter's in the next episode. I think Lockjaw's in the one following that. But yeah, what are our
Lockjaw's in
thoughts on
3, if
those?
I
What
recall
are our
correctly.
thoughts on those two matchups?
Let me
Alright.
think. You wanna go
I
first?
have I have stuff, yes. So okay, so Pori traded me Glitch for the DPA draft. Oh, he didn't trade. No, he got rid of Glitch for Huge, I believe. But so Glitch is gonna beat Lockjaw because it would be funny, and Riptide's gonna beat Riptide's gonna lose to Mad Catter. I'm sorry, I misspoke because Mad Catter is a cat. Okay, you
But
can
here's
go
the
now.
thing: cats hate water, so
Exactly, that's why it's gonna win.
determined to beat the
It
water.
has the determination to win because it's gonna use the anger that it has towards the water to destroy the water.
Cat thinks it's better than the water and use its extreme pride to defeat the water. Like,
Exactly. And plus it's a mad catter, so it's insane.
All right,
So it
Continue
might
talking.
like the water.
stay on track, please.
okay.
Move on. Who
That
else
was on
has
track.
other predictions?
We were on
Donald-
track. I wasn't talking about like freaking Cobalt or something.
Well,
I
now you
mean,
are. So
Donald Hudson is is always a hard matchup to go against. Just like him in general. All of his robots are incredible. All of his robots are solid. Um,
We were
I don't think
talking
his
about
robot
Glitch's
is
Mammoth.
solid.
Glitch's reliability issues are so much that I think I don't want to say it, but it might just turn into like a Captain Shredderator, like that just has constant reliability issues and can never like get its footing. I mean, it's sad to say that, but I mean, Lockjaw's,
I mean,
other than him being a chronic smoker, is a very reliable robot. So so I think Lockjaw wins that, and then I think Mad Catter and Riptide is more of a toss up. I mean, I think I'll need to more like wait for my opinions on that one later, but Glitch isn't looking good.
I kind of agree. My mindset for Glitch versus Lockjaw is that like I'm just scared that Glitch isn't gonna like fine tune or just fix their drive well enough. I think that Glitch is gonna go into fight with very poor drive, and Lockjaw's gonna go into the fight as one of the best drivers in the sport. And I think that Lockjaw's just gonna drive circles around Glitch. My only concern for Lockjaw really is that I'm just scared that its new ground game setup isn't that strong or that strong against this robot Glitch. 'Cause it isn't like a triangle thing. It's really interesting. I really want to see it do well. And then I agree that
Interesting.
Riptide versus Mad Catter is a bit of a toss-up. I'm leaning Mad Catter because I do think it's better driven. Ground game's a question mark, but I'm just gonna assume that Mad Catter has similar ground game capabilities. I'm leaning Mad Catter, but it's gonna be really close.
Yo, this is like a predictions podcast, but not a predictions
Uh,
podcast.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
I
difficult
guess I'll go.
fight.
So,
Let's see.
my
Glitch
takes.
versus Lockjaw. Oh, Lockjaw can actually drive, so they'll probably win. And
But
they
kill yourself on
would
Glitch.
probably. I don't know why. I am still amazed that they managed to win 7 fights in the rookie season.
oh, absolutely.
Kill yourself on Glitch, man.
I am-
Man, learn the lore.
I am
Kill
both
yourself.
exceedingly
Please let him
confused.
speak.
I am like really confused, but like mildly impressed, but kinda also really confused. I genuinely didn't expect. I am kind of amazed they did that well, but I'm not sure if lightning is going to strike twice. So I think that they'll probably lose to Lockjaw, and I have no idea who their other opponents are. But they might. I'm not sure if they're gonna go
They
full
have-
bombshell this year. You know what I mean?
They have Triton and Valkyrie, if I recall correctly.
Okay, I'll go. I guess.
Ooh.
Hey, what you got, Civ?
My
It's probably
my take is I saw the Riptide Man Catter fight, so I can't really say much about that. But Glitch and Lockjaw, I'll bet my entire life's earnings on Lockjaw, and if Lockjaw wins, I can't wait to see Glitch fans such as Miles mauled
I
about
mute
it.
myself by accident.
the
Of course,
internet.
I knew he was gonna reference Miles. But
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yo.
my take on this one, both these fights I really feel could go either way, in my opinion. I know some people might not feel that way, especially about Glitch and Lockjaw, but like with Glitch, like what I will credit is that their drive looked better this year than it did last season, and like I think it was just like that one big hit that Riptide had that like knocked a lot of their electronics loose, and hopefully Glitch fixes that, because like Battlebots did mention that Glitch was working to the last minute, at least. They mentioned that during the episode. And so that could have maybe caused some of that. But we'll find out. I think Glitch and Lockjaw will be a good fight regardless, but I know Lockjaw's almost certainly going to try to avoid going weapon on weapon, because if I took a guess, I bet Glitch wins the ground game if they challenge each other head on. But I think it'll be a good fight. If Glitch drives like as well or better than it did in the fight with Riptide, I think Glitch could have a good shot at winning this fight. Riptide, Mad Catter. I'm leaning towards Riptide in this fight, but this is another one it could really go either way in this one. Cause like what I'm most concerned about, at least with Mad Catter in that fight, is like if Riptide gets the first big hit, they could bend the forks or any source of ground game that Mad Catter has in that one, and then it's just gonna be the repeat of Uppercut and Riptide all over again, where Riptide's just gonna land hit after hit until Mad Catter can't move anymore. So
I think there's one factor that we're not taking into consideration with Mad Catter and Riptide, and that's Mad Catter's mini bot, which could
Gassy Cat.
definitely swing the
Crazy
fight.
cut.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
but no, honestly though, like that could be the reason why Mad Catter wins, because Mad Catter can use Gassy Cat to high center Riptide and then get a big hit that disables the weapon or the drive of Riptide.
Yeah. Regardless though,
Riptide and Mad Catter is just gonna be whoever wins the ground game,
Yeah.
really.
yeah.
Hmm.
Regardless
Yeah,
though,
like-
I think Riptide Mad Catter is
They
gonna
have
be a
Gassy Cat.
beast of a fight, and I cannot wait to see that one. So
I feel like unfortunately it's not gonna be a back and forth, but more so it's just gonna be whoever gets the first hit's probably gonna win.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel, because like that,
I
because
hope
like
it's back and forth.
even though I am leaning towards Riptide on that one, like that could go either way. Mad Catter could almost certainly win that fight too. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else, or should we move on to
Can I-
fight
can
number
I-
6, the fight?
All right, I have something for the next fight.
All right, we're gonna move on to that fight. All right, Gigabyte free shipping and Blaze. What do you guys say about that one?
Okay, so Gigabyte
I
is
knew he was gonna leave.
okay. This fight, yeah, he just leaves.
Coward.
All right, but this fight proves that Gigabyte is not a Beyblade, because when Gigabyte got flipped upside down, it actually still spun, and that is not accurate to Beyblades. Trust me, I've tested this. It's not accurate. They don't spin upside down. Okay. Anyways, that's all I had to say.
Okay, well, anyone else want to share their thoughts on this one then?
You know, I
No,
was
we were talking about seeing going
he's
up
back.
to like we were talking about tuning into BattleBots. On the first 10 minutes, we get to see, Pori's dreams like crushed and torn to shatters. So now we get to see Mantine's dreams crushed and torn to
Oh, no.
pieces, which is also
Next
pretty
week.
fun.
So I was just gonna like bury my head in the sand and call you guys and say you're not real and ignore this fight, but I'm just gonna take it head on. For about a month
Yo.
before this fight, I told you guys that the new drivers were gonna suck copious amounts of dick, and I was right.
They do.
I feel like,
I do
and I
suck.
feel like, and and I mean, John Maladnik has been driving this thing for 20 years, and people are like, he can kind of drive. So when they handed the controller to two, 4-year-olds, I don't know what they thought was going to happen.
Oof.
I mean,
Yeah,
Are
that
they
was,
younger than Oblivion?
it was
can
fucking atrocious.
tell.
Yeah, I
Oh.
mean, they hit the wall the first time. I was like, okay, first couple seconds,
figure it out.
they'll get it under control. And then they hit the wall the second time, and I got up and grabbed a Coke, and then I came back. They were flipped over, and then I went and took a piss for the rest of the fight. So, what I'm telling you is Gigabyte is going 1-3 at best. They're probably going to lose to Bloodsport. And free shipping's also going 1-3 because that was a fluke. And both of at the end of the
big deal.
at the end of the day, I think both of these robots suck, and we'll get them next season. We'll get them.
Gary Jin agrees. Actually, surprisingly.
You're in a rebuild now. You're in a rebuild.
Yeah, hey,
You need
fucking
to draft
fly
new,
me out to Vegas, dude. I'll fucking drive. Holy shit, that was
Yo. Honestly.
All
Okay,
right, who's next to share their thoughts on it?
I'll share it. I'll share my thoughts. I did a first impressions video that never got uploaded because my mic was shit. And in that video, I said, "Man, I hate that free shipping went mainstream and slapped on a stinky vertical spinner onto the wedge." And I'm just like, "There's no way this could possibly work. There's no way it could work." And it did.
It
I
works.
almost am confident to say that that type of configuration is almost like a horizontal spinner killer, almost, because I mean, as much of how high it looked when Gigabyte was trying to be controlled, like Gigabyte looked like it was drunk while it was just like stumbling around, bumping into the wall the entire time. But still, like free shipping was able to get like a couple like impressive shots for how tiny that spinner is.
Yeah.
Um, Good things come in small packages.
I think actually the drivers in Gigabyte were given Quaaludes about 10 minutes before the fight, and that's my excuse.
Fair.
What?
No, they're like 5 years old.
Yeah, and they got drugged. That's why it had so much quick effect, because they're like 5. Their little metabolic rates are really high.
Fair.
Their stomach process the drugs really fast.
Ouch.
That is true. I
Blade
forgot to
Spinner,
take that into
Derin,
consideration.
any of you three want to talk about this fight?
I already well, Gigabyte's the
this-
top, so
This is like my favorite. I think it's my favorite fight of the night. Mainly just because Gigabyte became a Beyblade, and that was just so fun to watch. Seeing the
Yes.
sparks come out from the bottom as it spun on its head was just amazing to see.
Yes.
Free shipping being in top form for once after like going, was it like 4-1 last season? So you just get
1
a
and
win.
4.
Yeah, 1-4. Getting a win over like around a 32 butt was amazing to see. I really hope it gets one win, maybe for this season later. May please one more win.
No, that's not happening. Looking
Big
at their
deal.
well, I mean,
Big
schedule,
deal
Gigabyte's
is
not
it.
getting another win.
Mantine's
they
living
might
off his pie right now.
they might beat Big Deal, but the other two, there is not a chance in fuck they win those
How do
fights.
you get
No, they're beating Minotaur.
those two bots?
They're
How do you
100%
get
beating
those
Minotaur
two
now.
bots?
If Minotaur loses to free shipping, I will strip down my street naked. I will lose my fucking marbles.
Let's not.
Darren, how about you talk about this
I
fight?
mean,
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, damage photos. I should have gone there. Okay. Let's see what else. Okay. So there's the team behind Gigabyte. I think the driver actually did a little post-fight report here.
Yep.
Let me read this out for y'all. Okay. First of all, what I thought of the fight. Well, that was fun. It was just. I mean. Free shipping did what free shipping does and shipped all over the opponent. That was great. Gigabyte did its best impression of Megabyte during its fight with Tekamaki back in like 2003. But this time it didn't self-right. Some pretty good music. That's a reference. Right. So, first of all, for the fight, they had a lot of issues getting the bot ready due to part shortages and various setbacks, and only passed safety the morning of the fight. So that's great. That's a great start. And
Good.
during the match, driver hadn't driven with the shell spinning on a steel floor, so there was there was a ton of torque steer I had not experienced before, along with my mistake of not limiting turn rates in the transmitter. That's the bit of the driving issues they were having. One of the hits caused one of the power wires for the motor. Wait, let me try it again. One of the big hits caused a wire to get partially cut and caused the frame to become live through the base plate into the weapon motor and caused the weapon motor to get stuck on, which melted their custom ESC and caused the bot to slam the mast into the floor, which caused that to snap off, leaving them stuck, and then they were stuck in Beyblade mode for the rest of the fight.
Fair.
So a lot of things went wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Everything
feel
went
trash.
wrong.
Yeah.
A
let me
lot.
actually-
Well, except for the 2 hits they got on free shipping.
Yeah, according to that, it says right here, on the bright side, the 2 hits had completely crumpled the wedgelet on free shipping and broke the frame rail.
That's fair. That is something at least, but yeah, kind of like my takes on this one. First to Gigabyte, definitely like what was being talked about. I think a lot of what was going on at the beginning of the fight was some of it was definitely the electrical issues that was just being talked about. Part of it was also just a lack of practice, I think, with like driving Gigabyte with a full body spinner at full speed
Yeah.
and that stuff. And hopefully we'll get to see a better driving performance from Gigabyte. Like gotta acknowledge that like driving in the battle box is like a whole different thing compared to like driving in like a test box or something like that. And definitely, I think that's something that hurt Gigabyte. But with free shipping, it worked pretty well. Like they were able to control the fight very well, and the Beyblade moment was awesome. But I'm not fully convinced on free shipping yet because I do believe that most of the damage that free shipping or most of the damage that happened to Gigabyte was done to itself, either by it going on the rails. But I think the self rider was broken by free shipping. I'm not 100% certain on that though. But regardless, I'm not convinced on free shipping being like a major contender yet. I need to see it perform. I need to see it like perform again and like perform like have a good performance against like Minotaur's its next opponent. See what it can do in that one. Hydra as well is coming later. Same thing with Big Dill, and I think those fights will definitely like determine for me like whether free shipping could make a deep run this year or if it's got some work to do. So anyway, let's talk about their next fights because like we got free shipping taking on Minotaur for their next fight, and Gigabyte's got Bloodsport for its next opponent. So yeah, we've heard Mantine talk about what he thinks about both those matchups. But what
Dude,
does everybody
I-
else think?
Like if this was
Unlucky.
any other if this was any other fucking season, I'd be like, oh, an HS, what a free win. And then they like changed their entire robot, gave their drivers a copious amount of crack, and then just sent them out to the fucking robot. I mean, I thought if they drove the robot, they'd be given like, oh hey, you know, I thought they'd have some sort of knowledge of the robot, like, hey, you know, don't try to move when you're spinning up. You're gonna fucking fly out of control, you goofy goober. And apparently they were not told that, so they spun up
I thought the
and tried to move.
2018 season was bad.
Yeah, like if it was any other season, Gigabyte would win this with no problems. But they have a
What
whole
about
new robot
2019?
that their drivers are really poor, and I think, unfortunately, we're looking at a 1 and 3 this year. So we'll get them in the bounty brackets.
Never know,
Nah,
but yeah.
maybe John will realize how stupid of an idea it was to leave the Gigabyte team, and then
Yeah,
he'll come back.
John, please come back.
He'll know his error of his ways.
Any kind of fool could
Well,
see
really?
that I was wrong, and I just can't live without you.
But yeah,
Thank
what do
you.
you guys
Whoa.
what do you guys think of those next 2 matchups for these 2 robots?
I think you're gonna get free points for the prediction game for both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
I do have one thing that I've noticed. There are a lot like these. Obviously, these next 2 matches aren't rematches in BattleBots, if I believe. But there's this season I believe has a ton of rematches like free shipping Hydra. So that'll definitely be interesting to see. But yeah, free shipping Minotaur. Original. I mean, I think I'm gonna go a little spicy and say free shipping wins that, just because I think it would be funny.
It would.
And then, well, and then, well, I mean, it's the next, and then Gigabyte. It's people who can actually drive a robot, and then there's people on crack. So I wonder who wins that.
Yeah. But Yeah,
I
anybody
will.
else got opinions on that?
Okay. Free shipping versus Minotaur. I think Minotaur will probably take that. It'll be probably a close fight. I expect it to last 3 minutes, but I think Minotaur will pull it off. Gigabyte versus Bloodsport. Well, hmm. Well, according to that same Reddit post I linked, the driver did say he was able to drive better in the future. But so on weapon weight, they both need time to spin up. So I think weapon weight wise, Gigabyte would come out ahead on that regard, but ooh, that's actually kind of a difficult. Like they'd have to be able to survive their own hits. I honestly don't know who would take that one. Like it really depends. Like I'd have to see how Bloodsport performs in its first fight before I could make a good conclusion on that. I have to say. So I'm just gonna stay undecided for now, and just wait and see.
Absolutely.
Ah,
What you got?
I didn't, I, I didn't see I saw the free shipping Minotaur fight, so I can't say anything about that. But Gigabyte versus Bloodsport, I think Gigabyte easy claps Bloodsport. I think, yeah, Mantine Malding over Gigabyte going 0-2 would be funny, but I do think Gigabyte is still good against horizontal spinners, and I think Bloodsport is in fact a horizontal spinner unless they've given themselves a vert configuration that we never knew about. Which I
I
They
guess
mean,
would
don't.
be, I guess
They
that'd be
don't.
slightly
We've seen
based,
the
but
footage.
I
Yeah.
mean, you never know. So, but I'm gonna go Gigabyte here because, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because like
ah,
It
free
would be
ship,
funny to see Mantine Cope.
free shipping Minotaur. I bet free shipping will have a couple good moments or two because like Gary Jin's a great driver, and these two have fought quite. These two robots have fought in outside competitions and before. Like I know Riobots has taken on Original Sin in a few times at least in Robo games, and definitely that's in a way a little bit of a rematch, kind of
Robo
just not
games.
rematching Battlebots at least. But I bet we'll get a good
Yeah.
fight out of it. I'm going Minotaur by KO, of course, and that's not just because Minotaur is my favorite robot. I think Minotaur has the better weapon between the two of them, and I bet free shipping has the beginning of the fight, but then Minotaur starts to stack up damage and really take control of the match. Gigabyte Bloodsport, like that could really go either way because like I think what we're gonna see is a ton of weapon on weapon shots, and it's gonna depend on who can take the hits better between them. They're both pretty well known for some pretty good durability, so I really could see that one going either way. I think I'm gonna lean towards Gigabyte on this one as well. I'm gonna side with Civ on that one, but that could go either way. So anyway, anything else, or should we get to the main event?
um,
Yep.
I didn't say anything about the next opponents.
Yep. Go ahead, Spin.
So free shipping is just really unlucky to fight Minotaur this time around. I think that they have a decent chance in terms of driving, but I think Minotaur is just gonna chew up whatever ground game free shipping tries to bring. So I'm leaning Minotaur for Gigabyte versus Bloodsport. This is the Beyblade battle we didn't get to see because Shredderator dies too fast. But I'm still gonna lean Gigabyte because they are just essentially a 360-degree wedge. Even if I think Bloodsport, I think will deliver bigger hits. I think a Gigabyte's just gonna take them better.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, or should we talk about next fight? All right, so
Oh yeah.
y'all thought we saw Pori's spirit break after Ribot lost. We saw Mantine's spirit break after Gigabyte lost. Y'all thought the same thing was gonna happen to me in this fight. Heck nah, we took out the champ 2 years in a row. So yeah, so the main event was Minotaur Tantrum. Yeah, it was a pretty fair matchup. We haven't seen these two robots fight, and both made the top 8 after last season. So yeah, and then Tantrum came in with an attachment to try to win the ground game against Minotaur, and then that happened. So yeah,
Yeah.
what do y'all got on this one? Before I share some of my stuff on this
Easy
fight.
prediction.
It was so
It was
sad how quick this
anticlimactic.
was.
Anticlimactic, to say the least.
I'm gonna
But
throw a
so you
tantrum
guys,
with how boring that fight
Tantrum's
was.
weird ass little
was-
spatula flipper thing.
No, actually, I'll give Tantrum credit where credit's due. I understand the idea behind that is
Yeah.
I no,
wanna
I
get-
understand.
wanna
I
get
understand the
under-
idea behind it.
want to get under the drum and punch like directly under it, which it's a solid strategy. It just didn't. It worked. I'll give him credit. It worked. It just Daniel Freitas countered the fuck out of it.
Yeah. It did better at flipping burgers than it did like it did better at flipping burgers than it did like actually doing what it was supposed to do.
Burgers?
Burger.
Battle Royale
Oh,
with
yeah.
cheese?
Yeah.
Battle Royale
I
with cheese.
missed that
exactly.
robot. I have
Oh,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Flywheel flipper tantrum. Those were the good days.
It was spring powered. It was spring powered.
Oh, not spring.
Yeah.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the original
no, Blip
Tantrum was a
Blip's.
spring powered flipper.
Yeah,
Alright.
I believe so.
I have to say, I miss. Anyway, are we still talking? Sorry.
Yep. What do you got for this fight?
Oh, me?
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, so yay, Minotaur! Thank you for taking out this orange thing. I gotta be honest, I am kind of surprised Tantrum is the champion. I still just can't believe it. I'm just like, wow.
It's base.
So I will say I do like seeing the champs get rattled, and I kind of see I like to see new champions every year. And it's kind of
Okay, I have an important question.
Please
Yeah.
let him speak and then ask your question.
Okay, I'll ask I'll ask the question after.
Okay. Yeah, this was a pretty good fight. It was back and forth for a little bit of gyro for a minute, a bit of instability, but then they came right in and then flipped Tantrum over a couple times and destroyed their tube arms of Dream Mech, and they got stuck. And it was a pretty dominant KO win, especially over the champion. I think that puts them in a good place to get seeded. Like, I think even if they go like 2-2 Minotaur somehow, probably definitely get in based on this one win alone. I think just because of how dominant it was, and it's the champion.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Y-
good fight
can I
overall.
ask my question
What
now?
was your question? Yep.
Alright, did Tantrum beat Hydra?
Well, according to the rules, it did.
Good.
Yeah, moving on to
Correct answer.
Yeah, moving on to my
Yes.
takes. Not really going to talk much about any of the controversy involved with Tantrum in the previous
Yeah.
season. Like, I thought it won the season fair and square, and
True.
yeah, I'm not going to disparage the Tantrum team in any way, like the Battlebots Facebook group has been lately.
Boo.
Which
They are vicious.
Yes.
Oh my
Fuck
god.
yeah,
Facebook.
I've been seeing a
Fuck
lot of
Facebook.
attacks go. I've been seeing a lot of attacks towards Tantrum, based on
Yeah.
last season, and
Whoa.
yeah, I was just
Okay,
gonna
I mean
say
it's
like
Facebook, so
this is what I'm gonna say though.
Yeah,
This
it's
hasn't been
Facebook.
this hasn't really been brought up yet, but in this fight, I think Tantrum was a Tantrum got a bad case of some first round gremlins for this fight.
Yes.
So
yeah,
basically
definitely.
basically like my summary of the fight is basically their configuration worked at first, like what Civ said. Like they got a shot or two on Minotaur, but then as soon as Minotaur bent that front piece, it was like all over for Tantrum, and a
It
lot
was
of that was
over.
great driving by Daniel Freitas. But what I noticed is even after the first flip, you could tell that Tantrum was struggling to self-right, and they probably weren't going to be able to do it without help from Minotaur. So, like,
And why
yeah.
would Minotaur help them?
well, they did help them after that first shot.
I mean, at one point, yeah.
yes, at one point, yes, but then later on, no.
And then they
Oh,
fully broke it, and then
Yes.
it was kaput.
Yeah, so yeah, this was pretty much like what was said in the post-fight interview. I think Tantrum's self-rider was not working in that fight, and so hopefully they fix it for their upcoming fights, and like you can see who their upcoming opponent is, and Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. So they're definitely gonna need that thing
I
working.
thought
So
the
hopefully
didn't
Tantrum.
Minotaur break the Self Rider?
Well, yes, they did
Yeah,
break the
like
Self Rider, but after they got the first flip, before they did break the Self Rider, you could see them trying to self right, but then it wasn't
did.
helping them out that much. It looked like, at least from my point of
I
view. So
I could have. I thought I heard from someone that Tantrum needed both arms to self right.
well, they had both arms at that point, but
They had both
it
arms.
kind of got
yes,
it
Could've-
looked like it got
Did they?
it broke like
at,
the
Did they?
arm.
I
after
could
the,
have
after
sworn that.
that first flip, like they might have lost the fists on the self riding arms, but I know no, because
I
they
mean,
didn't
they
take
needed the
those shots
fists.
until they were flipped the first time. But
Oh, interesting. Huh.
regardless though, I think there are some gremlins that Tantrum needs to work out in this one, and
Hopefully.
hopefully they do resolve those, because like Tantrum has a really brutal schedule, as they should, because they're the defending champion.
You
And
should.
Oh yeah.
yeah, Minotaur has
Well, I
hard
mean,
opponents coming too. Like other than free shipping, the two following that are two brutal opponents, and
uh,
yeah.
Witch Doctor and
Regardless though, I will say
I
this
guess
though, I was very surprised with how even though Minotaur busted the Self Rider, I was very shocked with how quickly they beat Tantrum in that fight. That was that's not me saying this because Minotaur's my favorite robot, but that was yeah, insane that one of the robots with the best durability like out there went down that quickly. So, yeah,
well, you see,
let's talk
Minotaur was just speedrunning.
yeah,
yeah.
let's talk about
You're running Battlebots World Championship
without
7.
digging into any of the controversy, let's talk about
Yeah.
Tantrum and Hydra, because we know they have a
Well,
rematch coming at some
Tantrum's gonna
point.
beat Hydra again.
I still think that Tantrum wins this, honestly. I think it's
Yeah.
just a matter of they have better fork than Piano Wedgelet. That's just my mindset. I
Yeah.
think their approach to driving, I think, is just gonna hand them the win in this fight, because how Hydra drives, they sit in the center and they spin and they wait for the opponent to come to them. I think that approach is just not gonna help them get out against Tantrum like it did last time. They might try something new, but I think they're just gonna hope that they just do that, but slightly better this time and get the win. So I'm leaning
Okay.
Tantrum.
Okay. So speaking of driving in Hydra's driving style, um, their ground game is extremely low, and that hurts them more than it benefits them, in my opinion, because they're gonna. I see Tantrum and Hydra just trying. Hydra just gets stuck in a seam on the floor, and then Tantrum just dominates the fight from there, and not and ends and then knocking out Hydra. So that way there can be no controversy about this fight.
All
Okay.
right, who's next to talk about this one?
I'll go guess, I guess. Hmm. This fight, well, you have to take into account Hydra's probably learned from last season and have probably made improvements to the robot and maybe their strategy to try and this time defeat Tantrum. It, I think it really depends if they get that Shremek fixed on Tantrum, whether or not Hydra wins or loses this. This is like a difficult fight because it's just a difficult fight to predict who will win. Like it's just it really could go any way based on really a bunch of small factors. Like I
I think.
I
Oh,
I don't know, man. I really don't know who could win that rematch. It's really gonna depend on the like if they get the remake fixed and what changes Hydra's made to their robot and strategy.
I feel like another another thing that I feel like we should take into account is Hydra. We haven't seen Hydra fight
Yep.
this season, so
Yeah.
and even then, and like if Hydra has Rotator in episode 3, so that's gonna definitely like Rotator might mess up Hydra real as worse than how Minotaur messed up Rotator. But who knows?
Well, so yeah, in terms of my consideration, like I think I think a big piece of this to take in consideration, which was brought up earlier, is like how well is Tantrum going to be able to fix some of those gremlins that we found in the fight, that we noticed like in the fight with Minotaur right there? Because like if they don't have the self-rider working, they're not going to win against Hydra. Yeah, because
Yeah.
because if the self-rider is not working, Hydra can just flip him once, and then Jake's gonna back off. Like, there's no doubt about that. That's my big concern with Tantrum. But then if the robot's working, I bet we get a really close back and forth fight, like what we got last season. Like, I really enjoyed that fight, and yeah, and I bet we get another really enjoyable one out of a rematch between those two robots, because like I love seeing lots of back and forth matchups, and I bet we'd get another one between these two if these two fight again. But yeah,
Hopefully.
as of right now, I'm actually gonna lean towards Hydra right now, because like
Okay.
just but then that could change because like Blaze mentioned earlier, or like we know Hydra's gonna fight Rotator. I think episode 3 is the
Yeah, episode 3, if I recall correctly.
when that's gonna happen, and I predict that's probably gonna be the main event. And
That yeah, that
we're gonna
It
see
should be the main.
how Hydra performs, because like I mentioned this during the Greg Munson podcast we had a little bit ago. Hydra was not consistent last season because we saw it constantly lose drive over simply just getting stuck on the floor, kind of getting tripped up on the floor, basically. And hopefully Jake fix a lot of that for this season, and because a lot of that could come into play when they fight Rotator and when they even fight Tantrum here. So yeah, as of right now, I'm leaning towards Hydra, but it could very easily flip. So. Anything else on that, or should we get to the next small part of this?
in random Pixar movie, incorrect year.
Well, we're gonna move on to next topic then. So yeah, after that episode ended, they had an hour-long special where they did the Battlebots top 10 nastiest KOs. I thought we'd like briefly discuss that, kind of like definitely like if we saw it, share our thoughts on it, and like talk about the top 10 here. Were there fights that should have been in it? Were there fights that should have been left out? Stuff like
Yes.
that. So
I can name a fight that should have been in it right here, right now.
go ahead.
Tombstone Bite Force round 2 definitely should have been in it.
Yeah.
What do you think it
Yes.
should
That
have
was-
replaced?
And Bronco Hydra wasn't really that nasty.
Neither-
I'll
okay,
actually, I'm gonna
have a
play devil's.
take
I'm
here.
gonna play devil's advocate there and say that was a very revolutionary fight for the world of flippers.
It was revolutionary, but it wasn't nasty.
It wasn't
Yes.
nasty in the
They
fact
need
that
a
brought-
better adjective.
Yeah. That was a
fact
terrible
they brought
adjective.
I think a fight that honestly I don't think this is a take. This might be a little controversial. I don't think uppercut Sawblaze was very nasty. Like it was, he had the fireball, of course, and it was a knockout, but like just like it wasn't as bad as the fireball might make you assume. Is I guess.
I know Pori was talking about how he didn't think that fight should be on the list because the fireball was not the KO shot. Sawblaze Witch Doctor round 3 probably should have been on here as well.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, fuck Sawblaze.
Well, but Civ,
Fuck
Sawblaze got fucked in that fight.
Exactly.
They took
So that's why it should be on the list.
Wait, what are we talking about? Round 3? What?
Round 3
Oh,
is the
Three,
last
Sawblaze
season.
Witch Doctor.
Oh, okay.
The last season.
Gotcha.
Last season.
Yeah, well, kind of share
Uh,
some of my takes on this, and then we'll let Civ get to it. So overall, I kind of liked hearing from the builders, even Trey and Greg, like talking about some of the fights, even if most of it was just like sharing some basic opinions on some of that stuff. But some fights that I felt definitely could have been contenders to make the list, at least. Let's see, what were some of the ones I was thinking of? Tombstone Minotaur, I felt was a big one that was missed. Let's see.
Hmm.
There
I think
was Was,
That's a take.
I felt Cobalt Sub-Zero should have actually been on there as well.
Definitely.
Hell,
That-
Uh,
I wish there was like an honorable mention segment.
That
oh,
would
yeah.
be great. Just like
yeah,
just have like a
definitely.
montage of big hits that didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
One more I was thinking
what do we
of, but
think
I-
about?
I actually have a couple I might want to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like I just
Yeah, go
so I
ahead.
think I'm surprised that Ice Wave vanquished it because they really
Oh,
love
yeah.
that shot of
Good one, too.
vanquishing
That's
White
right.
half.
Oh,
I was so
That's
shocked when they
true.
did include that. Fight Force Tombstone 2, of course.
I felt
I
they
think
should have
Hydra Warhawk is a great flipper representation
Ooh,
fight
yeah.
because Warhawk got cut into thirds by a flipper.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's true.
I was also thinking Uppercut and Riptide. That was the one I was forgetting of. Just how many bits of Uppercut's wheels were just scattered all over the arena was just really fun to see. And one more though that I just thought of 2 seconds ago. 2016, the
Yo.
rumble between Son of Waiachi, Creepy Crawlies, and Ultraviolet.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That
was
fight.
And
Oof.
actually,
Oh, I
no,
thought-
one more actually. I felt
Sal versus
Battlebots
Ghost
should have
Chapter?
included a Comedy Central era match with how
That
they were
would've been
referencing that at the beginning of the thing. I would have included
Yeah,
Son
I
of
thought they
Waiachi.
were.
I would have included Son of Waiachi and Nightmare in that too.
that's true.
Just on the fact that
Warhead.
that fight
Yeah.
ended in one huge weapon on weapon shot. So
I think a
okay, that's my
fight,
case right
another
there.
fight.
Okay,
I thought
I'm
I've
gonna
thought of
add
another fight.
one. I'm gonna add one.
Okay.
In the same vein of the Hydra Warhawk fight, what about Railgun Max versus Mad Catter? When Mad Catter
Ooh.
went into like
Oh,
also
yeah,
multiple
that
Yeah,
phases
was-
as
that's
well.
right.
Absolutely.
Could get Martin Mason there too to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been funny. I also thought of another fight. Sal versus Ghost Raptor from 2016.
Yeah.
Mm,
That one had some decent stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised. I'm kind of
Or
surprised.
Sal versus
no one's
Texas Whisper.
mentioned-
Think-
Okay, so a fight I think should have been on there was Ultraviolet versus Hypershock.
Another good one.
Oh, there.
Not-
Hypershock
yeah.
That's-
Warrior Clan.
Oh yes, the
Hypershock
raid.
wiping
Oh.
out Hypershock wiping out the drone is my reason
Yeah.
for that
That
one.
is one
at
of
least,
the
but-
moments
I'm
of all
pretty
time.
sure.
I think that's
could see.
I think it's gonna go in the out.
Why
Continue.
isn't Poison Arrow and Son of Waiachi on this?
Yeah.
Was that nasty or was
Returning
that
this
more
into a-
devastating?
Are we turning
more
this into a Civ
devastating.
Power Rankings moment?
Mount
I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
The power rankings one.
Can we get Mantine to roast BattleBots' top 10 nastiest KOs?
All right.
So
I'll get
I'll
him
be
in.
No,
completely
no.
honest. This list is
Hmm.
generally fine as
Hmm.
all the fights that you like. There some fights I don't
Someone
like.
talk, I
Uppercut
guess I can't
versus
hear them.
Uppercut versus Sawblaze is the most overrated fight of all time. Fight me.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
True.
But I think I think this would have
is bizarre.
I think this would have gone good with a top 20 list, maybe top 15, because I think there are some mentions that definitely we could have gotten. I think Copperhead versus Gigabyte would be a good
Ooh,
shout.
That's a good one. Which
Yeah.
one?
The first
That's-
one, although the second one was pretty good too,
The
but
second one was a dishelling.
The
Oh, wait,
the first
one was
first
a
one
the
was
shelling.
the
first one
deshelling.
was the deshelling. The second one was more big hits between the two robots.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also-
speaking of deshelling, Tombstone Gigabyte as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, Tombstone Gigabyte, Bite Force Hypershock, even the second one.
That's fair.
Definitely. Lots of good choices. So, yeah, really, anything else to talk about here with the nastiest KOs thing? Yes,
I
apparently.
think maybe I kind of want.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I just kind of think Ghost Raptor versus Cobalt should have been maybe a little higher, considering Ghost Raptor got like
Yeah.
quad, like 5 sected in one hit. I kind of feel like it should have been a little higher than it is.
I think like 4 through 1
I don't
are.
know.
I think 4 through number 4 through 1 are
my
like the fights that like changed the BattleBots competition in a way. Like huge. It looks like this unstoppable fucking robot, and Ice Wave nays on it in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Hydra changes the flipper game. Endgame takes out a huge legend. Hypershock finally doesn't look like shit. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so yeah, it was pretty nice seeing this stuff, and I think there's another one coming, a different theme this time, but
wouldn't be
I,
surprised.
yeah, I think Munson
I hope so.
hinted at there's something else coming after one of these episodes. I'm
Hopefully
not sure if
there's
it's after the
multiple.
next
About the
episode
closest
or
decisions.
it might be that one, but yeah,
Most
I know
controversial
Munson hinted at
decision.
there's a second like after episode video like this coming, and but I'm guessing different
I hope
theme.
there's more
Closest
than
Judge's
just
decision is
2.
actually I think a really good guess for what it might be. But anything else on this or the fight card?
No.
All right, so yeah, that will do it for this part. We'll soon be starting part 2, which will be our power rankings for this week. This will appear on the Green Square Secret Stash. That's where these things are going to be going. But yeah, as for the base podcast and the Nastiest Chaos thing, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Many of these fine gentlemen's YouTube channels will be linked in the description, so I would highly recommend checking it all out, and because lots of these people post some great content. So, yeah, thanks for watching,
And then there's me.
and I will
Yo, Mantine joined at the last second.
I'll hopefully see you for the power rankings section that we will soon be getting to.
Horrible list.